So, about, I don't know, 3.5 years ago, after the first big boom for the channel, after Shibuya ended, I remember putting out a poll asking people, what series do you want me to do videos on next? And I think the ones that I put on the list were My Hero, Black Clover, Undead Unluck, and Phantom Seer. Now, the one I ended up going with, because I think I got the most votes, was Black Clover, which, was doing quite well at the time, but kind of fell off after a certain point, and then, it became like a tri-monthly series. Yeah. My Hero was My Hero, and Phantom Seer got canceled like 4 or 5 volumes in. And I think back on that a lot because Undead Unluck was a series that I heard some good things about earlier on at that point when it was, I don't know, like 50 chapters in, maybe a little less, but never really saw that many people talk about. So after a certain point, I actually read it up to chapter 60-something. I think I caught up right around when summer ended. And I thought it was really good. I thought the premise of the series was very unique, and that still remains the case, even more so today, as it's probably one of the most creative series in Weekly Shonen Jump, given the whole premise for how the world works and what drives the plot along, among other things. But I didn't really feel like doing reviews at the time. I also did not make a habit of keeping up with it weekly, which created a bit of a backlog for me to read, which was fine. Being able to binge stuff is always fun. But I ended up being so bad at keeping up with it that I went like a whole year without reading it. And then after I caught up again, I went like 2 years without reading it. And then I caught up on it again a couple weeks ago. And after catching up on it again, I'm really kicking myself for letting a poll decide what series I'm going to do videos on. Because I cannot believe that I had been missing out on some of this stuff for multiple years now. All of the stuff leading up to and happening during Ragnarok, everything that's happened during this 101st loop, I cannot believe that I have not been keeping up with this weekly, at the very least. But I've seen the error of my ways. And here I am now. Not only am I reading it weekly, but here I am making a video on this week's chapter. Chapter 218. Which seems like a really good one to start making reviews for, because this is the one where we get the fucking title drop in it, which I don't think that's happened before. Outside maybe the first chapter, I don't remember exactly, but this really was our Undead Unluck. What more could you ever ask for? So, just to clarify, I don't plan on doing reviews every week. I'll do reviews if like a really good chapter like this one comes out. Based on what's going to be happening in the next chapter, I think it's pretty safe to say I'm gonna be doing one next week as well. This chapter is excellent for a variety of reasons. First off, and it feels weird saying this, but Unruin is back, and we've kind of been waiting forever to see when the Mid Machine would return. As far as I've seen, this guy is like the only character that people genuinely don't like. And I get that a lot, because compared to every other character, he's so one-dimensional. He's so bland and boring. He really is just a dollar store brand Andy if he was evil and a vampire for some reason. Which in part, I think is maybe a bit of the point, you know. He is a bit of a contrast to everyone else who has some sort of tragic element to their backstory, is in some way sympathetic or understandable. We gotta mix things up a little bit. We can't have everyone have a sob story. Even though this guy probably should, based on how Negators seem to work, but, you know, that's besides the point. Sometimes you just need someone to be an unlikable piece of shit. Oh, Jesus. And he fulfills that role quite well, because, you know, he is. So when Fuko runs up to a man and gouges his eyes out and shoots his head off in front of people who've never encountered an immortal person before, you know, it feels pretty good. And what a way to reintroduce your hateable character in the loop all about seeing these people before they turn bad and preventing their tragedies so that they don't have to walk that path. How do we reintroduce him? Oh, he fucking cuts Chikara's eyes out. Immediately. That's wonderful. Thank you, Unruin. You know, he shows up and immediately he's causing extreme harm yet again. We haven't seen anyone have the ability to, like, heal other people's injuries like that. I guess you could maybe use Life is Strange to sort of revert him to a point before his eyes got cut open. But, you know, I imagine this is going to have to introduce some means of healing people, because unless Chikara is able to expand his understanding of seeing people, or perceiving them, he's not going to be able to use his ability anymore. And this whole loop is about how everyone's power is essential to beating God. So, you know, something's going to have to happen after this. Who knows what it'll be. If, you know, Andy, through understanding the soul, is able to apply some of the properties of undead to other people, or maybe Unruin will do that, who knows. Or, I don't know, Nico figures something out. Something will have to be done to fix this, because I'm also wondering if Fuko is going to keep her missing eye or not, or she's going to get an eye patch, who knows. We haven't seen anyone fixing eyes before. We haven't seen people regenerating lost limbs if they don't have undead or unruin. So it's a pretty serious problem. Another reason I like Unruin showing up now, even though, you know, the end of the chapter is a very good note, pretty much this entire loop has been things going well without a hitch. As we go into the situation with knowledge of what's going on, who's involved, what's going to happen to them, and know how to plan for it accordingly. We're prepared for literally everything that happens. And there are always a few discrepancies that throw them off and create a bit of the conflict for the arc. But for the most part, we've just been winning. We can't stop winning. It's been nothing but winning since this loop started. And I think now is the time for us to experience a little bit of setbacks, you know? We gotta have something throwing a wrench into everything and giving another source of conflict, giving another obstacle for us to overcome that we're not already prepared for, Jesus Christ, already prepared for far in advance. So that's also good, especially because, you know, I feel like the last two little arcs, you know, the stuff with Unchased, I can't remember her name, and with Tatiana, hasn't been like the most action-packed or exciting stuff. It's been good, but, you know, nothing too crazy. Unruin shows up and starts maiming people, and shit's gonna get quite exciting. And speaking of exciting, well, you know the last part of the chapter. This really was our Undead Unluck. Using the fucking hat with the bad luck bullet. It's time for the union to be complete. This is the moment that this entire loop has been leading up to. The return of our other protagonist. Andy, Smite this white devil off the face of the earth. That was the first thought that occurred to me when I saw him shooting back down to earth from the sun. Unruin, this mid-machine's return. Grab his balls and twist him, you know? Get him the fuck out of here. Get him out of here. I guess we're supposed to theoretically recruit Unruin, because you can use every negator, and it'd be really convenient to have two guys who are basically undead. But I don't like him. Can we kill one person, please? Can there be one guy who's irredeemable, who just does such bad shit that we're not willing to forgive him, and we just kill his ass? Because Unruin's not the same as Undead. It seems like there is an actual trick to killing this guy. Whatever it is. If I had to wager a guess, it'd be that Unruin is just him seeing, you know, what is ruin exactly? It's seeing my goals be destroyed. Being ruined is having what you desire lost, or something like that. What you've built to achieve lost. And Unruin's goal is always bringing about God's victory. So whenever Ragnarok happens, that's not ruination for him. That's what he wants to happen. So then when it happens, he dies because he's completed his goal. So I guess the only way that could really happen is if he acquires a different goal of some variety. Other than that, and that kills him, because then that wouldn't be him being ruined. That's really the only thing I can think of. Otherwise, who knows? Maybe he can do something with the soul. But given that he's being used as Soul's assassin, and the people being sent by the superior rules have had a bit of training with the soul to enhance their negator abilities, I imagine this version of Unruin is actually stronger than the one from the previous loop. But Andy is like top 3 now. It seems like the only people above him are maybe Soul, and definitely top 4 because you know Luna's relative to God, equivalent to God, who knows. He's up there. He's very, very high tier now. So he will presumably take Unruin to school. He'll give him a wedgie, he'll give him a swirly. He's gonna humiliate him for all of our entertainment, and we're gonna clap like seals because it's gonna be very satisfying when it happens. Not just because we love to see Unruin get shit on, but also because it's Andy coming back in full, for real, for the first time since Ragnarok, which was like 80 chapters ago. So yeah, it's kind of a big fucking deal that one of the main characters is finally returning in full after like a third of the series has gone by. So I'm very excited. I imagine a lot of other people are very excited. What a fantastic chapter to start doing reviews on. This was excellent. 10 out of 10, tremendous chapter. Leaves me very excited to see what's going to happen next week. But with that, that's all I've got for this week's review. If you guys enjoyed, definitely be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to start doing reviews for Undead Unluck whenever we get a chapter that I feel gives me something to talk about, and this one's a mighty fine example of that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Take care.